Compensation. All right. Okay, so today's class, guys, I think the base of this class is we have to own a mistake that we've been making in the industry at Keller Williams and in any business world. We love to meet with an agent and say, nice to meet you. What's your goal? And they say, well, I'll give you all the answers. You ready? It's like a drop-down menu, and there's only 3 options that people give me. Number 1 is $100,000, okay? Number 2 is 1 home a month. Number 3 is, I just want to learn as much as I can. Now, if you've said that in this room, I'm not picking on you. It's just you chose from the drop-down menu, and that's okay, okay? It's very common. $100,000 is probably the most common. Now, the issue with that is we jump to step 3 on that. There should be, actually step 4, there should be 3 steps before that we tend to rush through. We skip past those steps, and they are very, very important. The number 1 is the really, really base. Does anyone know what that is? It's your big why. It's your big why. And then just above that, built upon that big why is what? I'll give you a hint. Bum, 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 bum. Your mission. Apparently that was a TV show before it was a movie. Allegedly. I still don't believe that. And then built upon that mission or influenced by that mission is your vision. Then built on that is your actual goal. So do you see how as an industry we've kind of jumped to step 4? And the truth of the matter is it's because we love numbers. We love numbers. It's like, what are your numbers? What are your conversion rates? How many appointments? Bam, bam, bam. Let's put it on a board. 411, off to the races you go. And little do we know that that's not tied to anything deeply, deeply rooted. Okay? So today's goal is to find your mission. Your big why, your mission, and your vision. So the purpose of today, we're going to hit these 3 things. Most agents set goals around the numbers, not for the meaning, and they skip over the meaning. When motivation fades, clarity of purpose reignites it. So we know this, right? We can be really motivated. You might be really motivated to lose 10 pounds, and then after Monday morning, Tuesday, you're like, I'm going to start a little bit later today. And then by the time you get to Friday, you're like, I'll start next Monday, okay? Now, what if that same person was told that they were pre-diabetic, and if they did not lose 10 pounds, they would not get a certain surgery or a certain medicine that would change their lives? There's a much stronger purpose there. That person is not going to skip on those workouts. Well, not as likely. I hope they really don't. So today's big goal, big why, mission, vision, to create goals that actually stick. Now, I don't want to necessarily ask out front. I think I need to click on this for the clicker to work. And there's no judgment here. Does anybody have a big why? You don't have to share it. All right, I could have sworn this was working a minute ago. Let's see, what if no, I don't want that. Oh. I guess I could do the mouse. It's not as ideal. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into the first question of, does anyone here know their big why? Raise your hand if you have a big why that you already, it's solid, it's rock solid. Okay, that's good. I would love that. Okay, so here's the analogy that I've kind of cooked up myself because I have a simple mind. I need pictures, I need analogies. So the way all 3 of these things tie in is on that little picture, I was hoping it'd be bigger, but it's very small. We have something that looks like a house, but you would be wrong. That's an orphanage. That's an orphanage. Why is that funny? So it is an orphanage, Zara. Now, going in order of how important these 3 things interchange or how they build upon each other is the soil that is underneath that orphanage, the soil that it's built upon that does not change very often, right, is the big why. It doesn't really change much, and if you have a bad foundation, Even the foundation you build on that soil is going to fall apart, okay? Now, the mission is why that exists. So this is going to sound a little melodramatic, but your mission is why you exist. So if I asked you, why does an orphanage exist? I mean, let's mastermind this. Why does an orphanage exist? To give hope to children? To house orphans, right? That's way more practical, inspirational, practical, sure.
The negative one would be because their parents didn't want them.
Sure, there's a negative side to that. Yeah. Safety. Yep. So the mission, and if you went into an orphanage and you asked the front desk person, I don't know if they have a front desk person, and you said, why are you guys here? There would be no confusion. They wouldn't be like, sometimes we sell bagels, sometimes we wash cars. Like, there would be zero confusion, right? Our orphanage exists to be a safe place for kids that have had an unfortunate situation. There's no confusion about that. It's probably so clear it's written on their wall, okay? Now, the vision is the effect, what effect your mission has on the world. So, for example, those kids, as they go out into the world, that is the vision of the orphanage, is we are going to give housing so that we can produce doctors and lawyers and maybe somebody else that plants their own orphanage. The effect of my mission is the vision, okay? So if you think of it, again, from the very base, the big Y is the soil that is built upon. There's nothing deeper than that. There's nothing beneath the soil, right? Above that, you have the actual building itself. Why does it exist? Now, there's already some confusion there. And you'll see some companies, sometimes their marketing is really confusing. You're like, wait, you just came out with what product? Like, you sold shoes and now you're coming out with this? They are not clear on their mission. They don't know why they exist. And then, what is the effect of it? What is the vision of your company? What effect do you want to have on the world when your mission is happening or taking place? Now, is there any confusion on that? I know mission and vision get interchanged all the time, okay? So the big Y, deeply rooted. It is your core person, it is your soul. Your mission is why you exist. And your vision is, how is it affecting the world? The effect. Are we clear on that part? Okay, so we're gonna do all that today, right? So we're gonna get deep, and this is not cooperating, so that's super cool. Okay. Oh man, you know what? Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. This is not working. Oh, you know what? We'll use this. Perfect. Now we're talking. Okay. So now let's get into the big Y. Now you have a worksheet there that says your big Y. We're not going to use that to the T. There's a lot there, and I actually love how many things that kind of walks you through. So let me just read a few. Oh, there's extra copies. So who in the world do you want to help the most? Okay, this is a self-discovery worksheet. I would encourage you to revisit this after this class because it very well could help you figure out your why or refine it, okay? It even has things, what I don't want, what pisses me off, what's my bucket list, right? Who's in my inner circle? This is a full-on big Y worksheet, but we're gonna make it much more simple today, okay? So here's what I have found. And this is gonna get a little bit more aggressive, if you will. I'm gonna make sure it's recorded. Okay, so most people are gonna say something about their big why. They're gonna say my family. My family's my big why. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, there is, and I'll tell you what it is. Either, because if they say my family's my big why, and I'm gonna sell 15 homes this year, and then they sell 5. One of two things happened. Number one, you don't actually love your family, okay? Number two is you're truly not connected to your big why because maybe your big why is too vague. Okay, so a strong big why makes inaction impossible. If you truly, truly, truly dial in your big why, you're not going to skip out on it. You're not gonna only sell 5 homes. You're gonna sell 15 homes. You're gonna find a way to do it. So here's what we're gonna do. I want you guys to do this practice with me, okay? I want you to close your eyes. No one's going to play a prank on you. Just close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. And I want you to picture your life 5 years from now. Who is there with you right now? And if you need a little bit more clarity, where are you? There's no wrong to that. Maybe you're at your house. Maybe you're on vacation. And I want you to ask yourself now, what's different about this day? What have you accomplished this last week? Remember, we're going 5 years in the future. What impact have you made? How do you feel about that impact? Just going to sit for a little bit longer. I want you to keep thinking about that, okay? Get as detailed as you want. Are you drinking a cup of coffee with your spouse? Are you at the park because you have time to do it? This is a visualization exercise. Get as detailed as you want. Now, I want you to pretend like you did not accomplish that. You missed out on that opportunity. You're not on that front porch because you weren't able to buy that house. Or you're not on that vacation with your family because you just didn't have the extra funds to do it. Okay, now I want you to go ahead and open your eyes, and I want you to think to yourself, was that just family? Was that just friends? Was that just, right? Usually it's family. But here's what I've found is most people, if you say family, that's way too big. It's way too vague. I want you to think to yourself, what about your family? Is it putting your kids through college? And this is where it gets really tricky because it depends on what season you're in and how far in the future you want to think. Yes?
For me, just to elaborate on what you're saying, I absolutely understand what you're saying. For me, my what about the family is to retire my parents.
Okay. And by the way, this is where the big, sorry, I'm in scroll mode now. This is where the big why changes, and it will change a little bit. So, and I was about to say that, I'm glad you mentioned that, because maybe I have 2 toddlers. My big why might be, the visualization might be them in middle school when they can travel with us and like we don't have to carry diapers around and it's not like a fight everywhere, right? Or they don't need high chairs. But eventually they're going to become middle schoolers. So my big why is going to move a little bit. It's still going to be about my family, but maybe now it's I get to send them off to college, right? And I get just to have time with my wife and my friends because my kids are off in college, and we make a big deal about it when they come home for the holidays. But then they'll graduate college, right? If maybe maybe my big why now is that I get to hold my grandkids. I mean, now we're getting really far out in the future, but your big why is going to slowly slide forward, and there's no right or wrong to it. Some people go right to retirement, and you might be a 30-something-year-old that thinks about retirement. Okay, if you think that that is a strong enough big why, but what I've found is my big why a lot of times is it involves my family, but it's not actually my family. It's the impact that I will have that involves my family. It's all in one, but for me to just say it's my family, that's not really a big driver for me. And for a while, I kind of felt bad about that. I was like, man, everyone's saying they're family, and I'm kind of like, yeah, they're there. But it depends. Everyone's going to be wired differently. But here's the truth of the matter, is the deeper reason you do what you do, the deeper the reason, the more likely you are to stick with that. Okay? So here's what I would like you to do. What I want you to do is I want you to start writing down in detail what you saw during that time. Okay? This is for you to have. Okay? Use the Big Why worksheet. Just pick a section. But in the future, what I want you to do is revisit this with a few of those exercises that are on there. Yes, I do. There's extras here. There you go. So we're going to spend, remember guys, this is a lot of reflection time. We're going to spend about 5 minutes. I want you to write down what you saw. Where were you? Oh, and I'll put the questions up here again in case you want to see the questions, guys. Where are you? Who's with you? What's different about your mornings? What's different about your evenings? Don't worry too much about the exercises that's written right there. Those are just meant for future to kind of run it through that filter. But right now, I want you to write down that vision that you had. We're going to spend about 5 minutes on this. I want details, guys. The more detailed, the better. Don't just write freedom. What are you doing with that freedom? Don't just write family. What are you doing with your family? What are they doing? It's okay if it's in paragraph form right now, guys. If you think you're done, I want you to go back in and think a little bit more on it. Get more details. All right, guys, about 2 more minutes. And then we're going to actually expand on that a little bit, or we're going to kind of dwindle it down. Okay, so now here's what I'd like you to do, guys. Finish up whatever sentence you're working on. The next slide is it's just a refinement tool. You don't necessarily have to make it fit in here because it may not, but here's kind of how your big why could be memorized. Because what we basically did is we took you to the future, right? And we gave you an opportunity to paint the absolute perfect picture of what 5 years or 10 years or 15 years looks like. Now, what I want you to do is try to rewrite that a little bit shorter if you can. And if you can't, no problem. That just means your big why is that powerful. But here are the pieces to it. What do you see, hear, and feel? Who benefits from your success? And what moment defines why this matters? And there's a little quote at the bottom of this that says, if your why doesn't make you emotional, it's not detailed enough. And I don't know anybody, I'm gonna protect all of you here. I don't know anybody that has sit in on a 1-hour class and figured it all out for the rest of their lives. Okay? We're just doing some groundwork right now. I'll say it again. So if you were to chunk this down into 3 parts, what do you see, hear, and feel? Who benefits from your success? What moment defines why this matters? And remember, this and the worksheet that you have in front of you is all meant to kind of run your big why through these filters and see if you want to refine it. We're all going to the future. But see, here's the thing. Remember, we're going 5 years into the future. Yeah. What had to have happened during those 5 years? So does that make sense? You're thinking in the past, but we're thinking 5 years in the future. So 5 years in the future, I'm on a beach in Hawaii. What had to happen for that is I closed 65 deals. Does that make sense? Okay. And that's not my big why, guys. To be in Hawaii is not my big why.
What moment defines why this matters?
Yeah. Now notice, guys, a 60-minute class is not long enough for this, but I want you to be exposed to how deep this is supposed to go. It's a lot of quiet time. Yes?
I have a question. Since you're the AI guy, I thought I put my vision into ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT said, and it's like beautifully wrote out a story
Yeah.
and took my words and like it's really good.
And that's something you can use ChatGPT for, is you can just write down in the messiest thing, like, I'm here, I'm enjoying this, my husband's there, my wife's, like, all these things, that's my vision.
Down and I just took a picture and put it in there.
Yeah, and then it could just give you one paragraph that's like not as jumbled. It's no different than working with an editor that's, hey, I need you to help me get my thoughts on paper, okay? Yes?
Is this slide presentation going to be sent out to us or available?
For a small fee of 99 cents, yes.
I don't understand something on the question number 3. It says, what moment defines why this matters? Within this past 5 years, or you're talking about from the past?
That's the same thing what you just said.
Right.
You in 5 years,
Or me going back 20 years, it's the same thing.
no. Because right now, you going back 20 years, that already happened, right?
But that's going to define how this matters in 5 years,
Okay.
right?
So ask that as a question.
So
What is your
experience
question?
I had 20 years ago is going to define what I'm seeing in the future.
Skip that question. You're getting tripped up on that question. Skip that one for now. I want you to focus on the first two then. Okay?
So it could be two things, in my opinion. It could be like 5 years from now when you are where you want to be, and then that feeling you get and how happy you are, and that's the moment that defines why it matters. Or it could be like 20 years ago when you had children, or for instance, and you're like, I'm going to make their life easy. And,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, if I'm sitting at a cabin in the lake, a cabin at the lake, and it's this beautiful thing that I custom built, what monumental thing had to happen in order for that to be accomplished? What is a moment that defined that? And again, some of these, there's not enough time right now because we already need to move on, okay? Because remember, all we're doing right now is we're preparing the soil. This is what everything is built upon, okay? So now that we are not confused enough, we're going to get into mission. So the idea here is these are not independent from each other. You're going to see some common threads that find their way through your big why, through your mission, through your vision, and then voila, it's a part of your goals for the next 5 years so that all these things can come true, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on, and this clicker's just really failed me today. Wait a minute. Okay, nope. We're not going to share the big why right now because what I want you guys to do is I really want you to get as detailed as you can. Okay, if we didn't spend so much time, I would just say, like, oh, tell me what your big why is. But I want you guys to get really personal with it. Okay, your big why is going to be very personal. And then in the future, if you want to share it, absolutely. Okay, now we're going to be transitioning now. We're going to be transitioning from your big why to your mission. And you're going to start to see how these things all mix together. So I love this line here. Oh. Your big why gives you emotion, right? That was the whole point of this. It gives you emotion. And by the way, that's why we tend to skip over this. Because look at how much time, how much quiet we need. Can you imagine starting, you're like, all right, I'm ready to start real estate. Okay, go sit in that room for an hour and just be quiet and think, right? It's tough to do. So your big why gives you emotion. Your mission gives that emotion direction. So now we're going to start moving in a general direction, okay? So you have in front of you another worksheet. that is stolen from Quantum Leap. And it should be the, yeah, there you go. It should be the stapled packet. If you don't have one, let me know. Let me get an extra one so I see what you guys are seeing. Next. So, let's talk about the difference between a goal and a mission. A goal is a specific desired result, right? That's what those, $100,000, right? That's a goal. That's fantastic, okay? It can be completed, right? You know when you've hit $100,000. I used to tell people all the time, you should have a goal that is specific so that you know when to pop the champagne, right? If it's like, I just want to learn, well, when am I popping this thing? Like, when, are you there yet? Oh, here comes probate. Oh, nope, here comes stress. Like, no, you're never there. But if it's to sell 12 homes, the minute you get the notification that that 12th property recorded, you're popping that champagne and you're celebrating. That's the beauty of a goal, is a definitive finish line. Now, a mission is your life's purpose, right? The orphanage, their job, their mission is to be a safe space for kids. There's no time to pop the champagne because there's always going to be more kids. So it is your life purpose. And it's always in progress, right? I don't know of an orphanage that's like, we already helped 20 kids this year, no more, okay? They're always going to be progressing. That's the idea. Your business is always going to be progressing. Your mission is always going to be progressing. So it has to be pretty big. Can we agree on that? Okay. So let's go down. Sorry, I need to keep moving over here. It's a good thing I have a torn hamstring. Okay, so what is a mission? So your mission is your purpose, what you dedicate your life to. Do you see how much bigger this is than real estate already? Now, don't get me wrong. Real estate is absolutely a part of it because that's how you are funding your life. But what you dedicate your life to, I mean, I don't even think Gary Keller can say that. So this is going to be bigger. You're already leaving. You're starting huge, and we're getting smaller and smaller before we end up at a measly real estate goal. So if you can accomplish it in your lifetime, it's a goal. If you could spend your lifetime doing it and still have more to do, then it's a mission. So just understand that almost like as a filter to run your mission through. If it could be accomplished and there's a champagne moment, that is not a mission, that's a goal. Okay? All right, so let's ambulate right back over here. Okay, so there is a formula to your mission. The mission formula, and I believe it's on this page as well. Should be. Yes, it's on, I guess, technically page 3. It's on the front page of page 2, if that helps. And this is really, really simple. I love this formula, okay? The mission for my life is to do something, insert blank, I have a passion for, by blank, using a unique gift, skill, or talent that I possess. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start writing down things that you have a passion for. Again, it's not just real estate. It's not just going to be real estate. I mean, if it is, cool. You're a lifetime realtor and don't do anything else. But most people, their passions go beyond that. So I want you to just start writing down, what are you passionate about? And we have some examples here. Is help families find belonging by guiding them home. If that's your biggest passion, cool. But if it's bigger than that, figure that out. So spend some time kicking some ideas around. I want you to make a list of things that you're really, really passionate about. Do something I have a passion for. And if you need some incentive or some motivation, go back to your big why. Is there anything that you can tie back to? So this is just step one. I want you to write down causes, people, passions that you have. Are there any causes that you're incredibly passionate about? Are there certain people that you're passionate about helping? What are you passionate about? Next, what I want you to do is I want you to create almost a second column, if you will, and I want you to start outlining unique gifts, skills, traits that you have, that you use. And yes, you are special, okay? Don't give me those looks. This is not the time to be humble. What are you really good at? What is a unique skill that you have? And by the way, this also is a refining process. This is going to adjust, not tectonically. This isn't going to be like a total shift in the future. I mean, it could be, but for the most part, this is like a refinement project. Every year, you're going to revisit this. You might adjust something slightly, but it's probably going to rhyme. And double. He has to send himself money. And now what you're going to do, hopefully this part isn't the surprise, you're going to combine those two. Okay, so you're going to combine the mission from my life is to blank, the skill or the passion, by using blank, the skill or the talent or the unique ability that you have. And I'll share with you guys what my mission is and how it's actually made a tweak this last year, I guess. All right, so again, what I would recommend you do is you type this. I know we're doing a worksheet. Type this into a Word document so that you can have it easy to change. And then if it's really wonky, kind of like what Zara said, feel free to type this into ChatGPT and just say, hey, this is like, I'm so scattered. I can't make this sound right. This is all sentence fragments. Make this into one sentence for me. And just go back and forth until it's refined. So just so you guys know how mine has like tweaked slightly, mine is to impact and empower business owners to do more than they thought possible by using clarity and systems to help them accomplish those things. But see, this is why it's changed a little bit, because what I've actually found now is to help people do more than they thought possible, it involves introducing them to a lot of AI tools. That was never in my mission 5 years ago. okay? And here I am teaching webinars on it and teaching classes on it and posting videos on it. So this is what I mean by your mission is it's gonna rhyme with previous versions, but it's gonna be similar in the effect, okay? Now, does anyone wanna share what their mission is? Which, by the way, mine has tweaked a little bit, so guess what I'm gonna do? I'm probably gonna type it into ChatGPT and just go through some drafts, because it's kind of wonky, it's kind of wordy, I want it simplified a little bit. So, does anyone here wanna share a first draft, no one's gonna hold you to it, of their mission?
This is my rough draft.
Of course.
So, the mission for my life is to help others find their forever home by implementing being transparent, kind, and humble. But I'm gonna tweak that.
Okay. And by the way, that's the house, right? That's the orphanage, that's the building. That's why Zara exists, to do what she just said. And then we'll tie that to the vision shortly. So who else wants to share a first draft of their mission? I want 2 to 3 people.
That's the whole point. Talking too much. My eyes are. Okay,
Let's hear it.
My mission in life is to create and perform in artistic projects that move people using my talents and gifts, such as my voice and confidence and charisma and magnetism.
Love that.
Nice.
Now notice, and this is the beauty of a powerful mission. Did he mention solar? No, but he just so happened, and I want you to think this way, he just so happened to choose, hey, I'm gonna bless you guys with how good I am at my mission. I'll partner with you right now. And maybe it's forever, maybe it's not. Okay, but that could be a speaker, that could be a teacher, that could be solar, that could be, right? It could be so many different things. So a mission can be more broad than where you are now, but it can still entail that. Okay, I love that. That was really good. What else?
Add to Taylor, technically, the mission for my life is to help others in the community. I can say that too, and I think it's generic.
As well, so use generic as long as it's still powerful to you.
Powerful, but like not really saying that I'm a realtor or anything.
Yeah.
Not connecting me to a profession.
Yeah,
I guess
sure.
the mission is not your job, right?
Yes,
Like,
that's what I
Correct.
If you're a loan officer, it's not like my mission is to,
Right.
maybe it's like you want to open up orphanages in your, mother country. I don't know, like
Yeah.
something bigger.
Yeah. And again, I'm glad that we're saying first draft, because this is going to take time. You're going to have to keep tweaking it and adjusting it. But I want you to see how much time we're taking on this, right? Have I asked anybody how many units you want to sell this year or next year, right? We're doing business planning soon. We have not talked about your 411 or your GPS, but if you have your big why, your mission, and your vision, and then it's time to do your business plan, you better believe they're going to affect one another, okay? Does anyone else want to share before we move on to the vision? Yes?
Try it.
Yeah.
It's not all there, but it's like the mission is the mission for my life is to help other and myself. I can throw myself in there, right?
Of course.
So, achieve well-being and peace and confidence and clarity where I use my whether it's business or fitness or physical holistic kind of like outlook to help them achieve where they are, figure out where they are and help them achieve to kind of like their next step or how they can move forward in their position in life.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's very good. Sure. And something else that you can do that I think is kind of fun is when you get your mission, because you're like, well, this is what I like to do, and this is why I'm equipped to do it, you can look backwards and you'll start to see your mission has shown up multiple times in your life. Okay, this whole concept of me helping people push beyond their limits, I see that all the way from when I started coaching Little League football and when I was a 7th grader. Like, that is a common thread across everything I've ever done. And it's so interesting because if you look back and you think of all the things you've done, more oftentimes than not, your mission has been there. You just haven't given it words, which is really cool. It's a really cool thing to see. It's kind of like an aha, okay? Okay, so do we have a first draft of our big why? Raise your hand. Okay, some people. Do we have a first draft of our mission? Why we exist? Raise your hand if you feel like you have at least a draft. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to get into vision. So let me scroll real quick. What is vision? Vision is your mission in motion. So again, we're going to go back to that orphanage example, and I think I actually have a page that shows it. Yep, the orphanage analogy. So we have the unchanging big why. Yes, it might tweak slightly, but this is your soul. This is who you are as a person. This is what gets you emotional. It's what drives you to tears of joy or tears of anger. If you see, and I've heard this said, if you really know your big why and you see something or somebody being violated in regards to your big why, it will make you so angry because you're like, that's not correct. Like that is against every part of me. That's how deeply rooted your big why is. It's who you are. So that's the ground of the orphanage. That's what it's built upon. Next, we did your mission. That's the building. Why does that building exist? If it's a McDonald's, I'm not going to go in and ask for kitchen counters, right? I'm not going to go ask them to paint my house. I see, well, this place exists to give me food, if you want to call it that. Arguable. Now, the effect is you end up with a lot of people walking out with Happy Meals and kids that are playing in the playground and people are walking out eating food, right? You see the effect also of McDonald's scholarships, right? That is the effect of McDonald's existing. Orphanage, same concept. You see kids being adopted and leaving that place, going on to go to college and, establish businesses and all that stuff. That is the effect of the mission in action. So now what we're going to do, no, that's not where I want to go. There we go. Okay, what does your life look like when your purpose is fully alive? So let's take that mission that you just had. How is the world going to be better because of it? What does it look like when your mission is fulfilled? And I'll give you mine, the vision for me, because I kind of gave you what my mission was. The vision is highly optimized entrepreneurs everywhere you look. They have a clear system. They have a clear play. They're good profit margins. They're living the life that they want to live, full of passion, full of freedom. That is my vision. That is my mission in action. If I see a client that I have and they are just accomplishing everything that they ever wanted, that's the vision. Okay, that orphanage sees these kids graduating college and starting families. Their vision is happening. Their mission in action is happening. Okay, so let's go through an exercise. Just a few prompts here. Okay, imagine 3 to 5 years from now. This is kind of tying into the big why a little bit. Okay, what does your business look like? Who are you helping? Now, this is about your mission, okay? So who are you helping in this mission? Who's benefiting from your mission happening? If it was you exist to save dogs, who's benefiting from that? Dogs. They're getting adopted into homes and they're being a Christmas gift to a couple of kids, right? That's your mission. That's your mission in action. How are lives different because of you? What kind of leader, parent, or person have you become? And here's the starting statement if you need help. 3 years from now, I'm living my mission fully. My life looks like blank and it's affecting these people. Blank, blank, blank. And again, we're going to kind of borrow from the big why exercise. I want you to really envision that. What does it look like? Get detailed with it. And I love examples because I think people really learn by example a lot. So let's use a teacher. Okay, a teacher's big why is to impact and mold the minds of the next generation, and their mission is to teach as many kids English as possible through my enthusiasm and my charisma and my passion and my storytelling. My vision is that there's going to be kids that become English teachers as well. That there's going to be kids that did not know how to read or were behind in reading and now they can read. That's how me affecting the world is going to be. And now, using that same analogy, we're going to tie that in, you guys ready? To the goal. You see how it only took us 58 minutes and 58 seconds to get here? So, this next slide is how your vision shapes your goals. Let's use that teacher as an analogy. So that teacher that wants to see kids go out and graduate and catch up on their reading and change the trajectory of their families' futures and lives and pasts, and maybe their parents didn't speak English and they're the first ones to speak English and now they can read and they can write and all these amazing things. So what is my goal based on that? It would be to get in front of as many kids as I can. And if you have a good coach, they would say, how many kids? And now we're at the numbers. You see how we did this whole roundabout way? So now it's like, okay, great. You have your big why. This is your soul. This is who you're made of. And you have your mission, why you exist. And your vision is that all these kids can read. So now how do we break that down into a goal that fuels all these things? And maybe it's, well, I'm going to tutor 25 kids every single quarter of the year. So that by the end of the year, I've tutored 100 kids in their reading and writing. That would be amazing. And by the way, if I was coaching that teacher and one quarter they said, I only got 12 students this quarter, I'd say, well, let's tie you back to the vision. And again, we could twist this knife here. That's 13 kids that are not able to do all these things. Right? Because you decided to sleep in or whatever, fill in the blank. So now you can see how attached, it's almost a visceral goal is created out of this. And it's one that you can't really negotiate your way out of if you're true to all these things. So this is kind of the wrap up. So you first have to figure out your big why. This is that future self. You're projecting out who's there, who's benefiting, who's with you, what are you seeing, what are you drinking, what are you eating, what does your schedule look like? Okay, and then you bring that into, okay, then I exist for this reason. That's my mission. So your big why in a lot of ways is going to fuel your mission. Okay, then you're going to take that mission and it's going to drive your vision, because what happens when you're doing your mission? The result is the vision. Okay, and then from that vision, because that's what you want to have the effect on the world, well, what is that goal? What is that goal that's going to help that? I'm sure a lot of you did not expect to come to a philosophy class this morning, but here you are. And you're going to be rewarded with a big why, a mission, a vision, and some fried chicken.
And bagels and coffee.
And bagels and coffee. The coffee's delicious. Thank you, David. And then I'm gonna hit us with a little line here, a little quote. You don't need more discipline. You need more clarity. Clarity fuels commitment. And that exact example that I just gave, that teacher that said they wanted to impact the lives of 100 students, well, if they weren't clear on that, it would be really easy to skip on those activities. Really easy. Okay, if somebody says they want to lose 10 pounds just because, there's not a lot of commitment there. If a doctor says, hey, we can't do this procedure on you unless you lose 10 pounds, there's a whole lot of clarity there. There's a lot of clarity, and there's a lot of tie-ins to that. Okay, let me see. I think we have one more slide. Okay, so here are your action steps. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Here are your action steps. Number 1 is to write your mission and your vision. Now, I would actually add to that, I want you to write your why, your mission, and your vision. And if you want a little AI twist on this, okay, because remember, it doesn't need to have your social security number in it or your mother's maiden name. So you can put this into ChatGPT. But here's the kicker. You can put this into ChatGPT and just say, hey, remember this for me. And in the future, I want you to remind me of this if I'm asking you certain questions that are way off base. All right, if I tell ChatGPT, hey, I want to build up my client base, or I want to teach this seminar, and then later I'm like, hey, I want to start a pickling jar business. Maybe it'll say, why? Where'd that come from? Like, do I need to remind you what your big why is? Has nothing to do with pickles. okay? So plug this into ChatGPT, tell it, just hang on to this for me. After we refine it, so it's nice and clean, hang on to it for me. Okay, now what you're gonna do with that is you're gonna write those on your 2026 GPS. We have business planning coming up. I should totally know the day off the top of my head, and if Robert can hear me, maybe he'll say what the date is, or if Noel can hear me, maybe they tell me what the date is. But there is a business planning that's going to be happening in here. We're bringing in Heath Hilgenberg. He's going to be teaching what's that? October 28th. I totally said that. I just wasn't sure. October 28th. Just kidding. October 28th, we are teaching business planning. And you are going to knock their socks off at the big conference room. Ooh, big time. You're going to knock your socks off if you already, right on top of that business planning sheet, have your big why, your mission, and your vision. And by the way, if you only want to write one of those, that's fine. But I think all of them have their own merit. I think the big why is powerful because it reminds you of how you're wired. It reminds you of your DNA. I think your mission is powerful and important because it reminds you why you exist, why you are on this earth. And then your vision is powerful because it gives you that future, like, oh, this is what will happen to the world if I actually follow through with what I say I'm going to do. Oh, now it's time to write a business plan. Okay? Now, when motivation fades, reconnect to your why. I think the why should be everywhere. Everywhere. I don't have my wallet on me, but in my wallet, it's a bifold wallet. Right in the middle, I have it unfolds when you open my wallet. It has my goals for the year, so that every time I open up my wallet, I see what those goals are. And it's not clear as day, but I see it and I remember what's on there. So, and that's my goals. It should probably be my mission or my big why, if I'm being honest. Okay. Now, are there any questions, any ahas? We're actually finishing right on time, but I want to make sure we have some time for sharing. If you're on Zoom land, just unmute yourself. I'll do my best to answer any questions. Don't put it in the chat, though, because I cannot see the chat.
And do better than here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's powerful because, and we know this kind of from like the 20%, 80-20 rule, like what really matters is if you know what your mission, your vision is, and you have a list of 5 things that you have to do that day, 2 or 3 are really going to jump out as, well, this is what's really important to me as a person. Like, I should do these things. That's good. That's very good. I will say that the vision for me, I think mission and vision were kind of interchangeable in my brain for a really long time. But the vision, I think, is really powerful because if you don't fulfill what you say you're going to do, and you've already thought of how you're going to positively impact the world, I start to realize, well, I'm taking that away from them. Right? If that teacher, I keep using the teacher analogy because I think it's pretty simple. If that teacher's goal is to help 100 students and they don't do that, they can almost quantify how many students they skipped out on. That's kind of painful. Okay? So give me one more aha. You think of that Steve Jobs quote where he said you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards?
Yeah, and then you can shoot somewhere else.
Yep.
Like, oh, this is what I remember. I like to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go revisit and start my pickling jars.
Yeah.
Because I like pickles.
I think something that is, I think this is a really powerful practice, but at the speed in which we live our lives, we spend almost no time on this. And this is arguably, I mean, imagine building a house, and unfortunately we see this like right now up north of us. Imagine building a house but not making sure the soil was compact and sound and doing testing. I mean, imagine that. How foolish would that be? And yet here we are, we jump right into like, well, let's start building. Here we go. How big do we want this house? Right? But we do that all the time. And I think that's a really difficult thing. But we're entering, notice the seasonality of what we're doing. We're in October, which means 2 things. Dodgers are playing in the playoffs and business planning for next year. And we intentionally put this class just before the business planning class so that hopefully we can get that soil a little bit more prepped and ready. Okay? Let me see. Are there any other questions right now? I would encourage you guys to revisit this multiple times. But here's the thing, guys. This took over an hour. This is not something you can do during your commercial breaks on Paramount Plus, okay? This is something that you need to carve out time. I'll tell you right now, go up into Azusa Canyon. I think it's a 15-minute drive. There's a turnout, no cell reception, perfect spot to do it. That's where I do mine, okay? Separate. Leave your phone behind and just sit with these pages. You're not going to want to do it because it's deep work, and we don't like deep work. Okay? No reception. Exactly. That's the beauty of it, 100%. Yeah. I don't know that you go up just enough to lose reception like that. That's also why we like camping up there. Yeah. What was I going to say? But yeah, I mean, you might look back at your goals from last year and realize how silly they were or how off base they were. I know real estate agents, you're going to face this multiple times in your career where you're going to be chasing deals or you're going to say no to a deal or you're going to do something. And if you would have reminded yourself of your mission, you would have been like, well, hold on. Like, why did I do that? Like, that's not in alignment with my DNA. Okay? Any other questions, guys?